Primary elections in Colorado are rarely interesting, and it's even more rare that they make national news. We're used to the same big-name Democrats winning a nomination and then coasting through the general election in November.
But last night's primaries were a major shakeup for establishment Democrats as progressive challengers won big. And we're still watching, by the way, Republican primary for governor, which remains too close to call. Kyle is here. The winners, the losers of the night. We certainly know the one person who didn't sleep last night.
This one,
which is you around election time.
I'm sure there are lots of candidates who probably didn't sleep, right? They maybe had a couple under their belt and were dancing all night. But last night's primary represented a real seismic shift for Colorado's Democratic Party. Two of the longest-serving names in state politics got routed by underdog challengers. And if you're looking for a through line, perhaps it's anti-establishment sentiment, perhaps it's Democrats saying that they want action from the people that they elect. Attorney General Phil Weiser promised Colorado Democrats that if they elect him governor, and he won in a rout over Senator Michael Bennet. A double-digit win for Phil Weiser, who promised to continue his work opposing the Trump administration. He's been a frequent litigant against the Trump administration, but promised to take that same fighting spirit to a series of other issues around Colorado. And he contrasted that with Michael Bennett's approach, which he said was more of kind of a Washington model of talking things through, finding consensus, and so forth. Big win in Colorado's first congressional district, Denver, for this woman, Democratic Socialist Milak Quiros, first-time candidate, 29-year-old lawyer turned barista. She stunned national Democrats by beating Congresswoman Diana DeGette, who had been in office for 29 years. She did not stun you or me because we've been talking about this for weeks, and it was clear that her campaign had insurgent energy and that DeGette's campaign had been caught flat-footed. Quiros, if you haven't heard her speak, is a very passionate defender of far-left beliefs. She is uncompromising, she is doctrinaire, and she is persuasive to a large swath of the electorate that decided to send her to Congress and send Diana DeGette home.
Frankly, this was not the way I would have wanted to end my career in politics, but I'm proud of my accomplishments. From protecting the environment and cleaning up toxic waste, to jump-starting research that will cure previously deadly diseases, to fighting for reproductive rights.
Diana DeGette, who did not show up at her watch party last night to speak to her supporters and her staff, instead did that video concession today. So what's next for Senator Michael Bennet, right? He did not have to quit his day job to run for governor. So he goes back to the Senate, a job that, frankly, he appears to hate and has been very frustrated with for years. That's why he wanted to come to Colorado and be the governor. But he returns to finish out the last 2 years on his term. And the question is, will he retire at that point? If he stays and runs again, will he have a progressive challenger? The Republican race for governor still too close to call between Victor Marx, the self-proclaimed high-risk humanitarian whose tall tales and suggestions of killing people around the world has raised scrutiny from national media and, frankly, from comedy shows. Too close to call with State Senator Barb Kirkmeyer, more of a traditional non-MAGA Republican who touted her expertise in writing the state budget. They are currently separated by less than 1,000 votes. That is well within the automatic recount margin. Something to watch here. In Democratic races, the late voters who come in tend to be younger, more progressive, more liberal, that kind of thing. Not so in the Republican primaries, and there is a thought among some observers that the late-breaking voters are folks who think that there is election rigging and that the way to avoid it is by voting at the last second on Election Day. You'll hear that in some far-right circles. If that's the case, that's bad news for Barb Kirkmeyer, because she don't play that game.
No. We'll see those votes go to Marx. Also, Marx outfunded her by...
By a ton, yeah.
So are you surprised at all that we're seeing her at least level it to where it is, considering her funding?
Surprised in a way, right? The race was kind of a black box. We didn't have reliable polling on it because, frankly, folks don't think that Republicans will be competitive in November, so why spend a lot of time polling the primary election? But the fact is, it is surprising that Victor Marx raised $3 million, and he is neck and neck with somebody who raised $500,000, $600,000, didn't have big rallies, didn't have big organizational stuff like he had. So there's a real question about where exactly did that money go? Last night at midnight or so, because I was bored, I decided to break down how much they spent per vote in their races, right? Goodness. And Barb Kirkmeyer, very economical, $3.87 per vote. Okay. Victor Marx, $16.11 per vote.
Okay, 4 times more.
It gives you an idea of just how much money he spent to get the same result. And we don't know who's going on to the general yet.
All right. Kyle, thanks so much.